Now let's talk about the Scrum Master and his role and responsibilities. So the Scrum Master is critical role in agile teams, ensuring that the Scrum principles and practices are followed. Unlike the traditional project manager, who focuses on a task, delegation, and control, the Scrum Master acts as a facilitator or a coach and a servant leader, enabling the team to work effectively. The Scrum Master main objective is to help the team become self-organizing and high-performing teams by removing the impediments or obstacles, fostering collaboration and ensuring the adherence to the sprint principles and events and activities. A well-functioning Scrum Master helps the teams to adapt, improve, and continuously deliver value to the stakeholders. And if you remember when we talked about the traditional project manager and the Scrum Master or the Agile project Scrum Master, the focus of the Scrum Master is the team facilitation and Agile processes. On the other hand, the traditional project manager who focuses on the task execution and the project plan. When it comes to the authority, the Scrum Master has no direct authority, which acts as a servant leader. But the project manager has a direct authority over the team and tasks. When it comes to decision making, the Scrum Master is a team driven who takes decision based on the team inputs and collaborative, let's say, decision making. But the traditional project manager is a centralized decision making. The success measure of the Scrum Master, the Scrum Master, let's say, measures the success based on the team empowerment and agile adoption. When it comes to the traditional project manager, the project manager and traditional, let's say, approaches, he measure the or she is they measure the success based on the project scope, the time and cost, or the project constraints. So these are the core responsibilities of the Scrum Master. Scrum Master has several key responsibilities, including first removing the impediments. And what do we mean by impediments? By identifying and eliminating the roadblocks that hinder the team progress and slow them down. Maybe an example here where the Scrum Master might resolve the technical issues by coordinating with the IT department or IT support to resolve maybe a network issue that the team is facing and it's hindering their progress. The next key responsibility here is to coach on Agile and Scrum. And this responsibility it works by educating you as a Scrum Master. You need to educate the team on the Scrum principles, ensures that they understand these principles, these core values, and ensuring the Agile best practices being applied. Also teaching the team about the Scrum events, about the value of these Scrum events, about the artifacts. So you work as a coach to your Agile team. The next responsibility here is to facilitate these Scrum events. And what does it mean with facilitating Scrum events? Ensuring that having an effective sprint planning. So remember the sprint planning were made, let's say, to produce the sprint backlog. So you ensure that the sprint backlog is produced after the sprint planning is complete. Also, the daily stand up, ensuring that every person of the team speaks in terms of their achievements, in terms of their plans for the day, also to understand their impediments or blockers that they are hindering, let's say, their work. Also, facilitating this sprint review by working with the stakeholders and the product owner to understand whether the team has met the sprint goal or not, to ensure that all of these feedbacks that is collected by the team from the stakeholders or with the product owner is being, let's say, considered as going to be also implemented in the future sprints in order to ensure that the value is being delivered to the stakeholders. Also, the retrospectives, where you need to work as a facilitator here to understand what went well, what didn't go well, what can be improved in the future sprints, so your team will have a continuous improvement. One of these also key responsibilities to protect the team from the distractions by shielding the team from the unnecessary stakeholder demands. So you as a scrum master, it's you are responsible to deal with the stakeholders or with the let's say these distractions that might let's say distract your team from doing their work, from let's say prioritizing work that isn't on the sprint backlog. So by say keeping and saving your team from these distractions, you ensures that your team is well protected. By handling these responsibilities, the scrum master ensures the team stays focused, efficient, and agile compliant. When it comes to talk about the servant leadership in Scrum, so a Scrum Master is a servant leader, meaning they lead by serving rather than just exercising the authority as the traditional project managers. Servant leadership focuses on helping the team to grow, also removing the roadblocks and fostering collaboration. But how the Scrum Master serves the team? By empowering the team to make decisions, by facilitating or facilitate the collaboration rather than just directing a solution or instructions. Bringing, for example, the team to sit on a table to resolve one of these issues that is being faced on the product, without just directing them to implement a solution that it might not be visible. So you always bring the team to collaborate rather than just dictating these solutions. Also, the Scrum Master can promote a culture of trust and the openness and the accountability within the team to serve his team. How the Scrum Master facilitate agile teams? Scrum Masters empowers the teams to self-organize rather than just relying on a manager for instructions. And this autonomy enhances the motivation, accountability, and creativity. And the ways that the Scrum Master can enable self organization is by encouraging the team ownership, by letting the team to decide how to complete their work, also by facilitating agile mindset. And if you recall that one of your responsibilities is to work as one of these as a coach and to facilitate the agile mindset by explaining to them the principles, the core values, the events, the benefit, the value of behind Scrum by reinforcing the Scrum values such as openness and courage. One of also these ways where you can enable the team to be self-organized is by providing feedback mechanism by helping the teams to analyze the sprint outcomes and improve the processes. Some of these common challenges that you as a Scrum Master might face when, let's say, leading a Scrum team. So these Scrum Masters face several challenges when transitioning teams to Agile. The first challenge here we talked about is the resistance to Agile adoption. Some teams members may resist to Scrum due the familiarity with the waterfall, maybe, and the solution here to overcome the resistance to Agile adoption or to agile, let's say, practices is by providing an extensive agile training and highlight its benefit. Also, one of these challenges is the conflict resolution in teams. And that happens because of the disagreement that occur between the team members, which can slow the progress. And the solution to resolve all of these conflicts within the teams is by encouraging open discussion and foster, let's say, safe environment of disagreements. The third challenge here as a Scrum Master you might face is managing stakeholder expectations. Stakeholder might have, let's say, high or different demands that might change during the mid of the sprint. So solution here is by educating the stakeholder on agile principles and managing the scope expectations. So during the sprint, the stakeholders must, let's say, know that the changes cannot happen during the sprint itself. However, it can happen on the product backlog, where they can prioritize or reprioritize some of the product backlog items. But in case of the work is being selected to be implemented during the sprint, within the sprint itself, the work cannot be changed. So the sprint has to end based on that. The feedback is collected based on that. This this feedback that came from the stakeholders is, let's say, considered on the product backlog by implementing or by removing or by changing the requirements. This comes with the product owner who has to reprioritize all of these features, these functionalities. So a great Scrum Master navigates these challenges to help the team thrive and to avoid, let's say, slowing down their progress. And some of these best practices where the Scrum Masters can implement. A successful Scrum Masters follow these best practices by encouraging a feedback culture. And also, how you encourage a feedback culture by facilitating open discussion during the retrospectives. I think of the teams in Amazon who uses the frequent retrospectives to optimize their delivery pipelines. Also, one of these best practices is to use data for decision making by tracking the the velocity, the sprint burn down charts, and the defect rates, which we're gonna discuss more in depth in the next sessions. So make your decision and the team decision based on the data, not based on, let's say, anything else. So yes, that you guys have, say, for example, if you're implementing an AI algorithm or an AI, let's say, model, and some of the team disagrees on what model or what algorithm have they should use. So based on these disagreements, ask both of the teams to support their solution with a data, maybe about the accuracy of that selected algorithm or the model itself. Maybe you guys can conduct, let's say, short sprint, 2 week sprints to test each of these algorithms to make your decision based on data rather than just looking for, say, winning this agreement. One of these also best practices is adapt Scrum to team needs, and not all of the team works on the same way. So you might need, customize the approach while staying agile. And applying these best practices leads to have a stronger and more adaptable. Let's look at one of these real world example where the Scrum Master in action. We have a case study where implementing a Scrum at one of these tech startup. So a startup is struggling with one of these delayed product releases, which caused hiring a Scrum Master. And the Scrum Master introduced, for example, daily stand-up meeting to improve communication and to understand the blockers that the team is facing. Also implemented the sprint retrospectives to understand what are the key improvements and the key refinement within the processes to improve the delivery timelines. Also, the Scrum Master has reduced the deployment times by 40% in 3 months by implementing these, let's say, um sprint backlog refinement sessions. So this demonstrates the impact of having an effective Scrum Master in agile success. What are the metrics to evaluate the Scrum Master effectiveness? So Scrum Master can measure his team based on their impact using the team velocity, which measures the work completed in the sprint. And these can be like the number of story points that were completed. We are gonna discuss what are the story points, how to allocate them more in depth in the next sessions. Also, one of these measures that Scrum Master can measure their team performance based on is the cycle time, which measures how long does it take to complete the task. Finally, one of these important measures is the team satisfaction survey, and that gathers the feedback on the team morals. So these tracking techniques or these measures helps the Scrum Masters to refine their approach to understand how their team is performing. And these common mistakes that is made by the Scrum Masters and how to avoid them. Um, So some Scrum Masters fall into these bad habits, such as being overly directive rather than just empowering the team. Again, so Scrum and Agile, you need to empower the team, not direct or control them. Also, one of these mistakes where the sprint or the Scrum Master ignores the retrospectives meetings, and that will cause missing the improvement opportunities that can enhances the team performance and improves also the project value and the project success. One of these also bad habits where the say like maybe micromanaging the team, also not enforcing the Scrum values, and finally, not shielding the team from the unnecessary disruptions. And by avoiding these mistakes, the Scrum Masters can ensure the team remains agile and focused, delivering a value to the let's say to the end users or to the stakeholders by end of the project. And to summarize our session on talking about these basic and important roles of the Scrum Master, so Scrum Master is a facilitator, coach, and servant leader. And their role is to empower self-organizing teams and overcoming these challenges that we have looked. Requires the patience, adaptability, and education. Also, look the responsibilities of the Scrum Masters of empowering the team, not micromanaging them, um, um, resolving the issues, taking the decision based on data. So, a great Scrum Master isn't just about a process enforcer, but a true agile champion, helping the teams to deliver a value efficiently and continuously improve.